Tyreek Hill. I know we talked about it last week. Then he came out and spoke about it afterwards. What are your thoughts on it in general?
Well, first of all, at Florida Atlantic University, where I work doing player development, player engagement, the officers that travel with us, they lecture our players, and we go through what to do and what not to do. The NFL for years has had acting companies come in. They've had people come in and do presentation, and he did everything the NFL tells the player not to do in a situation like that.
All right, guys, welcome to that episode of Fully Loaded. I'm here with Chris Carter. How you doing, buddy?
What's going on, bro?
I like your shirt, bro. You looking good.
Thank goodness
man.
You guys are wearing shirts for like a month before I got one.
Well, we had to get you a special one. No, that was special order. See how you see the collar's different?
I'll take.
But you see the collar's different.
Typically, special before anything is not good.
But this one's good.
It's anything but special.
But this one, see that collar? I couldn't pull that off.
Yeah.
You can with the buttons.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you got it. You have as many as you want now.
Finally, let's go.
As many as you want. So, all right, man. Well, hey, first of all, I got to tell you, the funniest message I got all week long on Fully Loaded, somebody cared. I'm not going to, he might get mad at me. He cares way too much about fantasy football, but he said you saved his fantasy football season because you told him last week that he should still let Harrison play. He was going to bench him, and Harrison came out and had like 30 points. He must have good wide receivers. He was going to bench him. So you say, we don't need to come. I'm just saying, I'm just passing on his cue. He was thanking you.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
It was a little love. Maybe he's not a good manager.
That's not the only message about Marvin Harrison Jr. from week number 1 that people really got mixed up. But it's nice he responded.
But he was being nice.
Two touchdowns, 130 yards in week number 2.
In the first quarter, he had like 30 points or something. Yeah.
Yes. Know a little something about football.
He can play.
Yes.
So, all right. Well, let's start with Tua. I was at the Dolphins game. Saw the Bills, saw Tua get hurt. Everybody seems to have an opinion on it. And I'm wondering what Chris Carter's opinion of that whole situation is.
Well, first of all, I'm going to be very, very careful because if I was ever in this situation, people can say whatever they want, but I wouldn't be taking advice from prognosticators, so-called experts, even people like myself. I wouldn't be. This is a medical issue first and foremost, and then it's a family private issue. And, to me, I would lean on the medical because that would give me the comfort and my family the comfort to know the latest information, because the whole concussion protocol and all the information about concussions in the last 5 years, all that information has been, life-changing. And the other thing that Tua has is that the NFL didn't like the procedure that the Dolphins went through a couple years ago and actually got rid of that person that was involved. As far as Tua, was he diagnosed the right way? Did they put him out there early again? So to me, it's a medical issue, and I need to get clearance from the doctor. But I know the doctor can't tell me what the future looks like. And that's the part that's really troubling as an athlete, because I've been able to look into the future because I have former teammates, I have Hall of Famers, I have people I've been inducted with that aren't healthy or have passed away since we've been in the Hall. So my perspective is a little bit different. I would lean on the medical, and then I would lean on the conversation with my wife and those who I deem to be important, and that group would be a very, very small group. But it's hard to tell someone to play a sport that's so dangerous. It's even harder, or I feel irresponsible, to even put it in the atmosphere that he should retire also. But when you are a young person and you go to college, you're trying to find a profession. And in that profession, you're trying to get where you can develop some type of wealth, some type of skill that you might be able to take care of your family, and very few jobs you can do this forever. Tua's been blessed. He's in a profession that question as far as his future financially, it's over with. So to me, that kind of alters his options because of the obvious. He has $160 million guaranteed.
Correct.
So that question in life of, okay, how am I going to be wealthy? How am I going to have a legacy for my kids and potentially for my grandkids? That question, he's done that already.
Generations.
So to me, it makes it not any easier to play or not play. And without knowing what the medical people are going to say, it's really impossible for me to give him any great advice. I need to hear what the doctor's going to say first.
What was when you played, because you said your position's changed now, or your view on it's changed after you've seen so many guys you went into the Hall of Fame with, played with, go through what they went through. When you played.
And there's been more information.
Correct.
There's been the concussion lawsuit against the league.
Correct.
There's been a lot more that's transpired.
When you played, what was the protocol? And was there one?
No, there was no concussion protocol.
How many concussions do you think, if you had to guess, if I said if I was going to, you had X amount of, how many do you think, based on what you've read and you've heard about, would have been confirmed concussions for Chris Carter?
Maybe a handful.
Handful.
Yeah.
But you knew, based on the way you felt, the way you.
Well, I know now that it was something. You know, people. You know, I didn't experience too much blacking out and everything. I got hit one time and blacked out, but there's so much more information about what you see, the reaction of the athlete, that now we're far more familiar with what a real concussion looks like.
Yeah. And he sure as hell has enough money for a very long time. That money's guaranteed. That's his money.
Yes.
Yeah, it's his.
It's guaranteed.
He never plays a down again. That's his money.
And it's really a statement that the legacy of the league and the collective bargaining agreements that have allowed us to have NBA type of money, like especially our quarterbacks. Our quarterbacks are making NBA type of money. Dak Prescott's making $60 million. Steph Curry's making $62 million.
Correct.
You know, so now the guaranteed part of it, it really allows, you know, for us to be able to make decisions long term about our future and not be pressured into, if I don't go back out there, someone's going to take my spot.
So if Tua is out, and obviously his health is number one concern, I hope he's okay, and he is everything he wants for him and his family. The backup quarterback they got now, who is the starter? What do you see for the Dolphins moving forward? If let's just say Tua don't play again this year,
They'll have a hard time going 500.
They will.
Yeah, because the reason why is because they have a defense that's going to be a pressure defense and try to create turnovers, try to create pressure, and because they know they have an offense, they thought they could score a lot of points. And because of the play action pass and the accuracy of Tua, it's hard to have a backup, excuse me, that's going to have that same type of accuracy. When you have that type of accuracy, it becomes hard to impossible to have a backup. So now, when you get into a situation like they have been in the last few years, their offense has only been a shell of itself because of the ability to play action and throw the ball down in the deep, tight spaces in the middle of the football field, which Tua does great. It's just like Lamar Jackson. If Baltimore, you can have an athletic guy, but he's still not going to be Lamar Jackson. So you see that, and that's one of the problems that you will have with the Dolphins is the ability to create that accuracy that Tua has.
Got it. So stay with Dolphins. Last Dolphins question. Tyreek Hill. I know we talked about it last week. He had the incident on the way to the game. Then he came out and spoke about it afterwards. And then you saw all the other footage. What is do you think how he handled it afterwards is the right way? Do you think, you know, what are your thoughts on it in general?
Well, first of all, at Florida Atlantic University, where I work doing player development, player engagement, we have the officers that travel with us from the police, Florida Atlantic Police Department. They lecture our players, and we go through what to do and what not to do. And Tyreek Hill did everything that we tell our kids not to do. The NFL for years has had acting companies come in. They've had people come in and do presentations. And he did everything that the NFL tells the player not to do in a situation like that. It's dangerous enough. Cops' jobs are hard enough that if you're going to decide to give them a hard time, he could have ended up dead. Now, afterwards, because there's been such a backlash from social unrest standpoint for the last 5 to 8 years, that we as African Americans would have been jumping on the side of the police officer, but now we saw and that is why the footage is important.
Correct.
For both people.
100%.
So now you can see that the officer was trying to work with him, and he was in violation, just like I told you. He was speeding. I knew he was speeding beforehand.
Yep.
And I would have told the guy, somewhat like him, yes, I was speeding. Oh, you didn't have a seatbelt on. Okay, I'm getting ready to put my seatbelt on. I'm going to give you 2 tickets. Okay, no problem.
Yeah.
I'm going to work.
Correct.
Can you mind hurrying it up?
Yeah.
So Tyreek was very, very rude in that exchange, which in turn the officer was trying to be fair. And then when the officer's colleague showed up on the scene, he only really heard half the conversation. That was the end. Oh, what? You gonna snatch him out? Oh, I will snatch him out.
I'm in. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna grab somebody.
Yes.
Yeah. I haven't grabbed anybody all day.
Right.
Somebody getting grabbed up. Yeah.
You know, so it's unfortunate, but it's also fortunate because it's a learned moment that as a celebrity, as a private citizen, police officers have a tough job, and we should be trying to assist them, especially as law-abiding citizens, where it's just a traffic violation and a seatbelt violation. It shouldn't end up where you face down on the concrete. And a lot of that, to me, was his own fault that he brought on to himself, because we didn't give the officer benefit of the doubt. I remember one time we had a guy on our team, and after he retired, he came out and said he was gay. And then in the interview we did with him, you know, he said, you know, you guys wouldn't have given me a chance. It's like, well, you didn't give us a chance.
You didn't. Yeah. You don't know that.
Yeah, like you don't know. And in this case, you know, the officer, I don't know what his track record was and everything. You know, Tyreek Hill didn't give him a chance to do his job to protect and to serve us.
Well, I think, you know, and I agree with you. Matter of fact, you talk about concussion protocol. I went to the police academy, and I don't even know what it was. I was 21. Now I'm 52. And there was no body, anything. And I think it's a real hard job. I think what sucked for both, first of all, you know, not rolling your window down, I get all that. And then the other, whichever officer it was, run up and down the street screaming at everybody. That didn't help either. Like, I'm dealing with you now. It's like, bro, he was already telling you to go, like, you just go to the game. So that didn't help, and that's probably the one that was suspended or whatever, which is unfortunate because that reflects poorly on
all the group.
Correct.
Just like Tyreek Hill as far as athletes and celebrities.
Correct. Reflects poorly.
Yes.
The one thing I didn't like, my opinion, was like, listen, he come out and said, hey, listen, I talked to some people in my family, and you know, I should have responded differently. And maybe I didn't see this. He said, but they didn't need to beat the dog out of me. He was handcuffed, but he wasn't beaten up.
No.
Okay. Because I was really lost. I'm like, that dude runs 100 miles an hour across the field, gets it. I'm sure he didn't get that. It seemed to continue to pile on, you know, because I didn't see him get beaten up by anybody.
Right. I think it was a good resolution. I don't know what's going to happen to the officer professionally, but Tyreek Hill realized that he's just like everyone else. He's got to obey the law, and he acknowledged that he's got a very, very young fan base, and he could be a better example to them, and using that as an example.
No doubt. So, all right. So I want to read a quote from Chris Carter in 2018, because did you see what Cam Jordan said the other day when he was on, I think I'm on St. Brown, his podcast about Drew Brees? Did you see what he said about Drew Brees?
No.
He said, and he's great. I'd never even heard his pod before. And he said, he was talking real quick, and he said, well, Drew Brees is the best quarterback ever. And I said, well, no, not the best quarterback ever. He said, you heard what I said. Drew Brees is the best quarterback ever. Tom Brady was the best winner ever. Drew Brees is the best quarterback ever. And he went in and said he had more 5,000 yards. He went through a bunch of, you know, percentage, completion percentage. And in 2018, correct me if I'm wrong if I get this wrong. Okay. Chris Carter argued that Aaron Rodgers is a more talented and skilled quarterback than Tom Brady. Despite Brady's greater number of Super Bowl rings, career accolades, he suggested if Rodgers had played in the same coaching and support system as Brady, he might have surpassed him in championships. And obviously that sparked a lot of debate and the whole deal, and then he went on to play for the Buccaneers. If Drew Brees and or Aaron Rodgers played with Bill Belichick and all those guys with the Patriots, could they have possibly had the same success that Tom Brady had?
No, I think they're two different questions, though.
Okay.
Because to me,
who's the greatest quarterback of all time? Sorry, who's the greatest quarterback of all time? Chris Carter's greatest quarterback of all time.
The greatest quarterback of all time is without dispute is Tom Brady.
Okay.
Because the quarterback, the number one stat is winning.
Okay.
And then which in turn is win championships.
Okay.
So he's been the most effective at that. That was more of a question about talent. That's just like Dan Marino. Dan Marino will still be one of the most 10 talented quarterbacks that you've ever seen in the NFL. We're just talking about talent.
Who's the most talented quarterback you've ever seen in the NFL?
Patrick Mahomes.
Really?
Because he has the athleticism and he has the ability to be able to throw the ball to any parts of the field, and he can layer the ball. Well, what does that mean? He can throw the ball to level 1 of the defense, short, hard, accurate. He can throw the ball to level 2 of the defense, short, hard, accurate, or lob it. He can throw the ball to the third part of the defense, running left or right, on a bullet, or with an arc. He's starting to build his resume, but a lot of that was because of Andy Reid. I don't think Drew Brees is as effective if he doesn't have Sean Payton. So I think that they kind of made each other. Okay. And I don't think Bill Belichick is not going to let them throw the ball like Drew Brees was able to throw the ball. He's a volume thrower, one of the greatest to ever play. And Aaron Rodgers, to me, would be one of the top 5 throwers of the football as far as arm talent, what he can do with the ball that other guys can't do. So best and arm talent, those are two different equations and questions.
So Tom Brady's a GOAT, greatest quarterback of all time. He's about winning.
Yes.
Is it fair to say that from a talent standpoint, he's not one of the top 5 most talented guys ever?
Absolutely. He would tell you that.
So that makes it even more amazing.
Yes. That's the whole story, man. It's about grit. It's about getting it done with less. It's about people telling you that you can't do it.
Well, okay. And I hear you on that, but I'm trying to figure out and maybe it's not fair, but
see, that's the difference between Brady and Michael Jordan. See, Brady is the GOAT at football. Michael Jordan is the GOAT at basketball, but also he's the best athlete and also number 1 fundamental. Like, he's the most fundamental player of all time.
And the most talented.
Yes.
And the biggest winner.
Yes. It just happens.
But it just happened that way, you're saying?
It just happened that way. They're different. Both of them are GOATs, but it's different because Michael Jordan, number 1 defensive player at his position.
Yeah.
Fundamentally sound. Free throw shooter. 3-point shooting. Rebounds, assists, turnovers.
And he was an effing killer.
Yes. Yes, all those things. So when you get into these conversations in that hierarchy, you have to, yes, talk about talent and have people in the conversation that necessarily didn't win to that level that still should be part of that conversation. And that's why Aaron Rodgers will be part of that conversation with me.
All right. Fair enough. I want it all sometimes. You can't have it all.
No, you can't.
You can't have it all. All right. Speaking of having it all, so you work in collegiate football.
Yes.
And I don't, so I can bet, partake, be excited, look at lines, and
I can't bet, but I can give advice.
Okay, well, there you go. So I'm flipping around on something, and it comes up my ESPN, I think the app, and I'm listening to the Colorado State players, I think a wide receiver and a quarterback, talking shit to Colorado, who beat them last year. Mm-hmm. And Colorado State, they ain't that good. And Colorado's already they came off a beatdown from Nebraska, right? Like they weren't feeling good.
Right.
And everybody in the world, and Deion's great at this whole us against the world thing. And I had no coach say like, dude, don't wake up a sleeping dog. Leave them be. Don't poke them. So once I started poking them, I'm like, dude, how much can I actually bet on Colorado they're going to cover? How, from a collegiate standpoint, because I can't see any of the guys you work with ever making that mistake. Maybe I'm wrong, where they would come out and say all these crazy things about their opposition. And that's the same coach that I think said about Deion with the glasses and the whole deal, right? Who thinks that's a successful plan? Like,
well, for one, it's such ego and such ego-driven that sometimes it gets in the way of like what your focus really should be. And it's about playing another game. They said no opponent's different than the other one. Obviously, they thought someone was different about Colorado.
Correct.
So now he's lying to the kids to try to drum up some false type of enthusiasm. And that lasts typically about halfway through the first quarter. And then it's like, man, are we better than them?
Yeah, I hear you.
So those things don't help. But football is very, very psychological. So you see it all the time that people give other people bulletin board material so that now that their focus is tighter and they are able to go into that game with an advantage compared to a disadvantage.
So it's just ego. You just think. Because I like what Deion said afterwards, hey, I like beating our friend. Like he didn't say me, it's like just tweet. I was like, I just like beating our friends. Like we're good. Like guys, thank you for that.
Right.
I
mean, he's been there 2 years. Correct. They beat him twice.
Correct.
I mean, last year they beat him in the worst way. They got outplayed.
Yeah.
Colorado State whooped them up and down.
But they still beat him.
Colorado at the end made enough plays to win at the end.
All right. So talk about another team I like betting against this year, and I'm gonna do it again. Is FSU. So I'm gonna talk. You got Florida State. You got Florida. You got Miami. Things are. How did it get so bad for Florida State so fast?
Well, the legendary Nick Saban, he joined ESPN's College Game Day.
Yeah.
And the first week he talked about the portal and NIL money. And he said, I'm paraphrasing, if you don't spend the right money on the right players, I think he said you're going to be shit out of luck.
He said something like that. I remember it, yeah.
And if you look at Florida State and Florida, I think Florida spent $15 million NIL this year.
Florida spent $15 million on those guys.
I think it's like the top 10 NIL spend.
Wow.
And the coach already came into the season under a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
And then you lose to A&M, who's in transition, just getting a new coach, and you're supposed to be in year 3. They should have had substantial more growth. They should also have elite talent like at defensive end, offensive tackle, wide receiver. They lost a wide receiver in the first round. They had a quarterback drafted in the first round a couple of years ago. But at Florida, they should have 2 or 3 quarterbacks on the roster that people should be looking at. They are that kind of university. They should be a top 10 recruiting university because academically very sound, and they got a great history. And it's here in the state of Florida within a car drive into Georgia and into South Florida. You can fill up your whole roster, not even get on an airplane. So Florida is definitely in trouble. The coach is definitely in trouble, Billy Napier. Definitely. If he makes it to Halloween, that would be, then he won't make it to Thanksgiving. And then now Florida State's coming off an outstanding season where they were undefeated. And they got screwed as far as the college playoff. And then from that point on, from that announcement that day, they had immediate people leaving their roster, immediate people saying they're not playing in the bowl game. And they got mauled by Georgia. Yeah, like no one's been, undefeated team's never lost a game like that. Yeah. And then they started off the season getting mauled by Georgia Tech. So in this transition period, if you don't do well in the portal, it will nail your fate. And you would never think that a coach that just came from an undefeated regular season in the ACC, Power 4 conference, that they would be thinking about firing. And the people in Florida State, man, they got plenty of money. They'll be considering buying him out. So this is more of a closer to Thanksgiving type of thing, but the coaching here in Florida is totally unstable with Florida and Florida State having years that their coaches might not survive.
So after the announcement, and I hear you got screwed. Why did I get they weren't playing in the bowl game? They're pissed off about it. Why is everybody mass transferring? They had a great season. They believe they should have played for national championship. The quarterback got hurt. But why? I don't get it. What with everybody else? Why hey, we're out of here?
Well, for one, the talent that they have assembled, they had a handful of NFL players. But obviously, when you have NIL money and you are playing in New Year's Day Bowl and you're at a school like Florida State, obviously they didn't like the coach and the coaching staff because you're not going to get better. And they had a lot of players leaving. And we've had a couple players from Florida State, and the players didn't like being there, didn't like the staff there, and didn't think that they treated them right. And that's what you can start to see in the couple games that they played. The kids almost seemed like they had quit on Florida State. When I was watching them play, I was like, I mean, that's one of the least physical Florida State teams I've seen in a long time.
Correct.
And when the kids don't have the right attitude and they decide to sit down on you, it's obvious. And that's what I'd be watching the rest of the season, those two programs.
So one coach that does not seem to be on the hot seat as of today is University of Miami as good as, are they a top 10 football team? Are they a top, I mean, their quarterbacks, he's a dog, he's unbelievable. Are they that good?
Yeah, they are. They're hitting it at the right time. And they've done a good job as far as NIL because Cam Ward was thinking about going to Ohio State. And with all their talent, and I think that Miami ended up doubling what Ohio State was offering or something like that. To get him into making multiple millions a year in college. And he's well worth it because he could have gone to the NFL also.
Yep.
But he might be that type of player that almost like a Joe Burrow at LSU. He got there. Joe Burrow was there 2 years, so he had the year before to warm up. But this team, Miami, might be perfect, right, for Cam Ward to finish off his career and be able to go on a run that LSU went on with Jamar and Justin Jefferson and that crew that won the national championship for LSU several years ago. So, yeah, Miami's in great shape. This year, the ACC is not that tough. Several teams from the ACC probably going to get into the college playoff, but Miami is the strongest of those teams. And right now, I would be shocked if Miami didn't have a top 4 seed in the college football playoff.
Top 4?
Yeah, top 4.
Wow. No, and that's a coach who last year.
Well, it's also now, well, they're already high ranked, and if they keep going, they're going to be high ranked. But being the Power 4, all 4 of those teams and the highest ranked are going to be in there to get a bye. So they're set themselves up perfect.
Man,
and then imagine playing that first game late in December down here in Florida.
Yeah.
Because it's a home game for the teams that have a bye. So you talking about being able to carve out and win a national championship, man, with the heat down here.
Yeah.
And get a team from up north, this could be a magical year for the Hurricanes.
Oh, good for them. I keep watching. Well, first of all, the Chiefs are still playing, but I think they're losing. The Ravens lost. The Niners lost. Who else lost that I didn't think was going to lose? Ravens, Niners, who are supposedly 2 of the top five teams in Chiefs might lose. Don't know if they're going to. Outside of the Chiefs, are the Ravens better than? I mean, it's early. It's only a couple games. I get that. The Niners, I get it. It's only they squeaked one out. Are the Niners and Ravens really 2 of the top 3-4 teams in the NFL?
Well, this is the thing. All you can say is they have good quarterback situations. They're in a good injury situation, and they have experienced guys playing together. Because with no preseason games, bro, you don't know what you're going to get the first couple games. The Quarterbacks aren't playing a lot. I think Aaron Rodgers is 0-4 his last 4 opening days with the Jets.
He was 0-4.
Yeah.
Got it.
And bounced back, and I think it's 4-0 in week number 2. So, and he hadn't played in the preseason in a long time. So I think with the lack of intense training camp, the lack of tackling at training camp, the lack of going ones-on-ones, goods-on-goods at training camp, the product suffers early in the season, and you see a lot of the upsets. You know, we don't know who San Francisco is right now. I mean, Christian McCaffrey, he hadn't played yet. I mean, they got stone cold. I mean, destroyed today by the Vikings.
Yeah, they did.
So we wouldn't have seen that coming. So I would say, at least for the first month of the season, to me, that's like preseason. After 4 weeks, let's come back because now we'll know if teams have had a rash of injuries, and then we'll have a better look at who the teams are before teams go on runs and start winning 4, 5, 6, 7 games in a row.
And then, dude, I'm watching the Red Zone, and I'm doing a million other things. And what do you think about Baker Mayfield? He's still playing. He's still winning some games. Like, I think about him. I think about Deshaun Watson's position, you know, where he's at. Like, first of all, what do you think is going to happen with Deshaun?
Well, I think the guaranteed money is going to make them hold on to him, and they're going to try to salvage something because their defense is so good.
Can he still play in the NFL?
I mean, he can still
At a
play
high
in
level.
the NFL.
Sorry.
I haven't seen it in such a long time. I don't know that anymore. I'm tired of responding to 2021. Can you imagine if you went and put your 2021 tax return in for, okay, this is what I'm going to do this year. Well, what else you going to do? This is just what I did.
That'd be good. I put my best year.
Right.
I got my best year right here. Every year I want y'all to pay me like this is my best year.
But nothing else. No type of effects that, okay, we can see glimpses.
Correct.
No. And I know he's coached well, and I know the head coach there, Kevin Stefanski, that he's one of the best play callers and best head coaches that we have in the NFL. So it's not that. A lot of times it can be the system.
Correct.
Like, don't mix, it's like oil and water. But he has done well with such less quarterbacks than Deshaun that this is critical. This is critical that they make this work.
What about Mayfield?
Okay, Baker Mayfield is what happens in the NFL when you're a great college player and you can happen to be the best quarterback at your position, but still not be ready to take over a franchise. Because can you be good enough to be a starting quarterback in the NFL is a different than are you mature enough to be the face of the franchise, to be the grown man, to be the CEO of this multi-billion-dollar organization? Most of the answer to those is no. No, so now going to Cleveland, historically bad run, he goes there and he has some type of success. And then the league starts to find out about you. And then it's, okay, do I have enough talent to adapt? And he had the coach that I was just bragging about. So to me, I knew it wasn't coaching because a lot of times you can go places and be trapped on a bad team, bad organization, and they will ruin your career. They will make you look like you can't play. And it's because the coaching there does not really add value as far as the scheme they coach and the talent that you have trying to blend them together. So there are many organizations and many coaches that will ruin your career as a quarterback. If you come out a quarterback, you're a top 10 pick and everything, like there's no science to that draft. And that's what happened to Baker Mayfield. Is he more than a competent starter in the NFL? Absolutely, and that's what you're seeing. They got a good system in Tampa, and when you put that trust and belief in a human being, this is the benefit of that. They're being paid for that, and I believe Baker's going to have a good career because he is accurate, he's got arm strength, and he loves to play the game.
So switching sports. The Chicago White Sox do you follow the White Sox at all, standings at all, baseball at all?
Are they historically bad this year?
They are 34 and 115.
Right. There's only one team. Oakland's the only team worse than them, right? Okay. I know nothing about baseball. That's how bad they are.
Okay. They posted a
Kansas City kicks a field goal at the buzzer.
They did?
Kansas
They
City
won?
kicked a field goal.
Okay. Well, they won. So they're still number one. Yeah. They found a way to win. Mahomes found a way to win. They posted a picture. I know there wasn't that many. They had a doubleheader, and the earlier game was never on the original schedule. So, allegedly that caught everybody by surprise. But there's a bunch of pictures online that have like a handful of people. They claim their attendance was 17. Now, it wasn't 17, but there was like literally nobody in the stands. Mm-hmm. As a professional athlete, now I know I've been on a lot of very good baseball teams. I've never played that many games in the season because I wasn't a professional baseball player. Mm-hmm. Collegiately, we didn't play that many games. But that's a beatdown. Like, that's a lot of losing.
Yeah.
And as a professional athlete, a lot of losing on top of going to the park, there ain't nobody there. You know what I mean? And you can't blame them. Like, what do they want to go there for? Mm-hmm. How do you're getting paid, I get it, you're a grown-ass man, I get all of those things. But what's the worst team you've ever been on in the NFL? What was the record?
My worst team I was on, I think my last year with the Vikings, I think we were 5-11. That's the only losing season I had in the pro.
So you're the wrong guy to ask because you don't know. Because Ohio State, you don't.
Yeah, you shouldn't be having a podcast if you're a loser.
No, that's true. But you could be a guy put in the wrong spot.
Just mess with you,
you could be a guy in the wrong spot, right? You shouldn't be, right?
Yeah.
How do you as an org, how do you get dudes? You're a coach, you mentor people, you speak to them. 34 and 115.
You have to talk about the process. You also have to talk about the privilege. And you also have to talk about the price. Like, all those things don't change. I don't care if you're on the Yankees or if you're on the Oakland Athletics. For one, it's a privilege to be here as a professional athlete. God could have gave this talent to anybody. Mm-hmm. So it's a privilege to be here, man. It's a blessing to be here. It's a blessing. I'm going to take advantage of it. Let's talk about the price. There's a price to be paid to do anything at a high level. There's an amount of sacrifice and there's an amount of self-discipline that you are going to have to endure, winning or losing. So that part, it never changes. And then what is the process of any job, any department I'm in? What's the process of doing that job at an efficient level that ultimately I can graduate and do it at a superior level? So those are all things, they don't change, man. People want to make excuses, oh, my boss, oh, this job. And listen, like, hey, man, it's a blessing to be here. Like, this is not guaranteed. And then typically along the way, you find out your purpose in doing that. And it's really about being locked into what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And then along the way, I'm going to try to drag some people to let them know this is how I'm successful. This is what I think about. When I come up to bat, I act as if there's 20,000 here. You don't hear them yelling? You don't hear them screaming? They not up there when you come up there, bro?
I know there's 17 people
like,
there, bro. No,
they
I'm trying.
Ain't up there, dog, when you get up there?
Like, so that's your mindset. It don't matter.
Yes.
That's what you give these guys. No matter where we go, how many kids show up.
No, absolutely.
If 2,000 show up at FAU or 22,000, it don't matter.
This is something that I always, when I learned, I heard it from an old guy in the locker room in Philadelphia when I first got there, drafted by the Eagles. He said, hey, young fella, we all get paid on Monday. No matter what you do, we all get paid on Monday. Okay. All right. We all in here getting paid on Monday, man. So, like, and you lose a game, the coach are throwing stuff, they're doing stuff. Hey, man, hey, bro, we get paid.
We get paid on Monday. They're screaming, yelling at you, cussing you out. We get paid on Monday.
Yeah, you can work.
Good.
Man, you
just
can work
like
at
your
a
job.
factory. You can work at an office. You work at
100%.
a company. I mean, they have bad days. They have bad quarters. They have bad
100%.
years. And guess what the people do?
They get paid.
People get paid.
Thursday, Friday, whatever day I got paid.
So why should I be
weekly?
feeling any different?
That's right.
I saw one time when I was younger, man, Lee Iacocca, Chrysler, remember Chrysler Corporation?
Yeah.
Lee Iacocca running Chrysler Corporation. They went bankrupt. I think he made $43 million.
Of course he did.
Shoot, man, let's get paid. It's Monday, man.
Bankruptcy
Monday,
works.
man. Let's get to Monday.
Well, there you go. They got to get whatever they get paid, whatever day they get paid in the major leagues. I read this. So Shannon Sharpe, who I love, I like Shannon a lot. I read this article.
You know I called Shannon this week.
I know you did.
You know I had to call him and talk.
Well, that's what I want to talk about.
Okay, go
That's
ahead.
what I want to talk about. Of course, I know you called Shannon and he talked to you. So that's what I want to talk about. But you know what I mean? Appreciate you saying that before I even got to ask you. Right. I want to hear about that. The article I read that blew me away was like all these articles saying Shannon's not going to be disciplined by ESPN. And I was like, what are they going to discipline him for? Like I was so I'd love to hear what y'all and what you want to share about what you and Shannon talked about, because my man, he sent it to me and I was like, huh? And then everybody was sending it to me and I was like, huh? And then Shannon sent me a message after we had Stephen A on, and he was like, hey, we just sent me something cool. And but I'm like, what do you mean fired? So like, first of all, what was your conversation? I can't think about that now. You told me you had a conversation with Shannon, so why don't we start there?
Well, some of the things I'll keep private.
Yeah, I know that.
I think his relationship with Stephen A. prevented something from happening, because I think that there was a conversation about what they were going to do with Shannon.
What they were going to do with Shannon because there was an audio.
Because ESPN is owned by Disney.
Yeah.
And Disney thinks that they just have a certain feel about their product.
So the people that run Disney don't have sexual relationships?
I just think that there was a discussion.
Okay.
Obviously, that the cooler heads prevailed.
Got it.
That nothing was done to Shannon, but to me, a lot of that was because the executive producer is Stephen A.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't allow anything to be done because it wasn't malicious. Mm-hmm. It wasn't done out of, he wasn't drunk.
No.
He didn't try to do it.
No.
And it's not something that he's apt to do because he doesn't work at social media. You've been with him a number of times.
Dude, I know the
He's
people
got a whole team and everything.
I know him. When he said one of them on Nightcap, right. I'm like, yeah, I know that dude.
So
yeah.
I don't know how, to get on live, there's a couple steps that you have to do before you get on live. And supposedly he was talking to Ocho Cinco and said that he was already busy before the phone was on, which, that's another discussion. Yeah. But he's very, very fortunate that was the end result of it.
Correct. All right. So, and then people, why would somebody logically think he staged that?
Well, I think that we are in a hypersensitive conspiracy theory. Like everything that happens, there's a conspiracy theory of why that happened compared to logic. Like we used to have
logically he knows who he works for, and logically he knows that there was going to be like when that all happened, he wouldn't. Right. He's a smart man.
And like Stephen A. had said, and I think Shannon's been open with it too, that people were saying some rumors about him being gay,
correct,
and that he had staged this, for that. I've been knowing Shannon 40 years. And only thing is that happy smile.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's the only thing.
And I have seen him with now, and we know Hollywood. I have seen him with some hammers, bro.
Yeah.
Like
yes. It's been 40 years.
Yeah. I've been knowing him a long time.
Yeah.
But the main reason why I called him, besides just checking on my brother and everything, was I was like, bruh, you didn't represent being 50 and in the hall, okay? Because, you have the physique of a god. But
he does.
That audio tape was not a god tape.
No.
Okay. No, that wasn't no god tape. That wasn't no Hall of Fame. That was not no gold jacket, Denver Broncos, Baltimore Ravens. That was not that. Now I see he's doing, little commercials because he's on the little pills or something or whatever.
Oh, he got it. Well, he's going to monetize the hell out of that.
Well, yeah.
But that's the number. I said, somebody goes, why don't you think it was staged? I said, bro, did you listen to the audio? He sort of mean. I said, first of all, I don't agree with all the stuff you're saying. But if he was going to do that, and that wouldn't have been the audio, I promise you. I love you. I'm not mad at you. But like Ocho said, what he said, was like, bro, you got to work on your cardio, bro. You got to work on that.
No, he let the Hall of Famers down, man. You got to do some more legs. We know you got that big old chest. That's why he sits under the desk. Them
Well,
legs.
he was working on it.
He needs an
He was
extra
working
leg
on
day.
it. He was just on live.
Yeah.
He was working
on it.
He was working on his
Workouts got
legs.
cut short.
Oh, my Michelle. Oh,
That sounds just like it.
a little cuddle bear.
We love you, Shannon.
Yes, sir. And he got all kind of people on a cuddle now.
Dude, I'll tell you what, though. It's how fast he went self-deprecating, making fun of himself, talking shit about himself, and then before you knew it, everything was out. And I was like, oh, yeah, night clap. He ain't playing around. Like,
yes.
He's that's somebody else knows how to go get there, go get paid.
Yes.
Like, he's figuring that
He's
shit
a
out.
good dude.
Glad
it happened to him, not me.
He's a great – hey, me too. Actually, I don't know, though. That might be good. I don't want it to happen to you ever. But I'm just saying it wouldn't be terrible for the show.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen to you.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying it wouldn't be.
My wife said she'd
would-
have to go live in Lake Como somewhere, in Italy.
Well,
But
you-
I told her I'd send her a residual every 30 days because we would make some money.
Well, your performance would be better than that. You in better shape. It'd
Well,
be-
the
it'd be a
only
Hall of-
problem is
it'd be a Hall of
I
Fame
don't know if you'll be able
performance.
to tell the difference between her screaming or me screaming.
Now that would be funny. Then we can mimic that shit. That would be funny. It's funny. As soon as that popped up too, then I read. My boy sent it to me. And did you see this about the OnlyFans? How much they got paid last year? Did you see this compared to the NBA?
No.
The OnlyFans models. Pull it up, Andrew, real quick. Give me an amount. OnlyFans models made more cumulatively last year than the entire NBA. All the rosters combined did. Ain't that some shit?
Hey man,
Are you surprised?
Well, I'm okay. I'm just not a big porn guy.
Well, it's not necessarily. I don't have
Well,
an
before
OnlyFans
I
page.
give
I
my
don't like
answer,
go in there. I don't go look at it.
Well,
Sure as hell
don't-
ain't nobody wants to see mine.
Okay.
I don't look at anybody's pages. I don't have an account. But it ain't necessarily porn. They do all kinds of stuff. They sell pictures of their feet. Is that porn? They sell like their clothing. Is that pornography? The feet. If some girl sells pictures of her feet, is that pornography?
Well, it's tapping into a side of your brain that
It's
the same
fucking
time
weird.
that those other people are doing. So just like a crotch shot, whatever that does to your brain.
The what?
The feet, a crotch shot.
The what shot?
Crotch.
Crotch shot. Oh, that's not the same as feet.
It does the same for your brain as it.
Really?
That's what Rex Ryan says.
What does Rex Ryan know?
Feet. He gave up on the rest of the body, but he's in the feet.
Okay, got it. All right.
He's in the feet, man.
Then he might know it.
He's in the feet.
So you're not into that kind of stuff, obviously. But are you shocked
I'm
they
not
made
surprised
that
because
kind
there
of
are
money?
so many guys that aren't satisfied in their existing relationships and in the privacy of their own home, a credit card or something that people don't know. Like, not surprised at all, man. Like, I mean, we grew up in the beginning stages of Hustler and Penthouse.
Yeah, magazines, man.
Magazines.
Yeah.
What
Like
you
my
think
old
your
man-
phone?
my
Guess
old
what
man
your
have
phone
some
is right
magazines
now?
around.
Yeah, up under the mattress. You go in there.
Yeah.
Hey, Dad, looking for $1.
That's
Oh.
right.
Oh.
Yo, Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue.
Right. I never had
was
a
big deal.
father in the home and everything,
Yeah,
but
me
I had
me neither,
buddies.
but he had an
I
apartment.
buddies.
He had an
When
apartment.
I went over
Yep.
to their house and
Yep.
they're either uncle or something, they had reading material in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And I used a little time to check out the
Check
bathroom.
that out and make sure it was okay.
Yeah.
Just to see what it was about.
Yep.
Yeah, just look around.
As a kid.
Just as a kid, just exploring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this right here gives you, opportunity to be just like you're in the bathroom reading the magazine again. And with all the options available worldwide, no, I'm not surprised at all, man. I would much rather a woman be on there than to be in one of these establishments and everything where she's got the dance and everything.
Yeah. Oh,
She
God,
is
yeah.
safe.
Good.
She's in her
She's
house.
safe.
If she can hustle
Yeah.
a damn fool to
picture
put
her
his
feet.
credit card, and I don't care, I don't care what, but whatever she's doing
Good for her.
as an adult, consenting adult,
Yep.
and if
Two
she's
consenting
she's able
adults.
to
Monetize it.
monetize that, oh my goodness, yes, it's
You're all
America,
about
man.
it.
Let's go.
What was the number, Drew?
In 2023, OnlyFans creators all
$6.6 billion.
They working harder, man. They working harder than
Yeah,
LeBron
they deserve
and
it.
them.
Well, he's a fan. He's a fan of what y'all are doing for yourselves,
Well,
not
I'm a fan
involving
of-
him.
I'm
Not a fan of OnlyFans. You're a fan of the capitalism.
I'm a
and
fan
their
of
ability to
taking
make money.
advantage of stupid people.
As you said, everybody's underpaid.
Man, get a raise. 8% raise to fans only this year.
He is Chris Carter, which obviously you know. I love y'all. We appreciate y'all. Thanks for all the support. We just hit well over 4 million views in a matter of it wasn't even a month and a half, so we really appreciate you for that.
Absolutely. Thank you for that.
I mean, it means a lot to us, and I appreciate you, Chris. Always entertaining, always informative, and I love you, brother. I appreciate y'all. Hey, like, subscribe, share. If anybody wants to hear any of what you heard tonight, send it to your friends. They want to tune in. They want to check it out, so appreciate y'all. Thanks, man.